Cohen states that diversity is experiences or personal experiences or characteristics among a population. There are several forms of diversity, including religious diversity, where in some countries you may find a larger number of religious diversity, like in New Zealand, where in other countries you may find a fewer number of um, a few number of diverse religious groups. A lot of the biggest the biggest drive behind the biggest drive behind diversity is immigration and intermarriage, with the two leading groups being Latinos and Asians. Um, Diversity definitely has its good and bad. Some of the good that it can bring is that it can definitely be used as a learning tool. It can allow humans to intermix and get to know each other, get to know pretty much everyone pretty. And then and then a biggest issue that this might bring is cultural clashes, especially religious clashes um, between religion. Um, as for the second prompt, Cohen mentions that um, parents that have somewhat of a higher education have um, a much higher chance of having a successful relationship or a stable family. If the parents are doing good, there's a high chance that so will the child do good and will succeed emotionally, socially, and financially. Um, but people without families are left to experience a much more different life. A lot of the times they get lost in the system, and the system assumes that a family is going to come along and take care of them and take care of those basic needs. When that's not always the case, they don't. Um, a lot of the times they don't get to experience things like basic care, like emotional care, and what it feels like to have a family um, as as a safety economical net in times of need. I feel like if we look at things, because before I get into that, before, because I do feel like the system definitely helps those who have had a head start in life, and um, I do feel like if things don't change, then we're going to be stuck in the same system. So I feel like looking at things like universal healthcare, free education, and um, recognizing the different diverse families and groups, and allowing access to the same rights. I feel like that's a way we can move, because if you haven't noticed, um, a lot of these resources are geared towards traditional families, because they're favored more. Um, there are several reasons as to why the younger generation delays or refuses to have children altogether. Cohen mentions it is not just about childcare, but it is also about elder care, because um, a, we are entering an era where the large amount of population is made up of older adults, where the fewer amount is made up of children. Um, looking at those things, as well as healthcare, just the basic cost of living, even the violence that's going on and the harmful change in climate, um, that can definitely hinder. And I feel like that will definitely change family structures, especially if these views continue and if the new normal continues. Like I've mentioned, I've seen more interdependent families. So I feel like that's going to be more of a thing, as well as the idea of marriage, especially having children, will become more of an outdated thing if societal pressures continue. There are there are um, there are three views that the text talks about. Cohen mentions that conservatives are geared towards tradition and keeping the tradition alive. A goal, um, a strength that this has is it fosters long term and strong connections within the family. A weakness that this has is that it ignores the inequality that it continues to perpetuate. Like I mentioned, these a lot of these resources are tailored towards the favored family, aka the traditional family. Liberals are tailored more. The liberal view is tailored more towards freedom and is more towards tolerance. Um, a strength that this may have is it it allows people to have it respects the rights and freedoms that people have chosen. A weakness that this may have is that it can provide a lack of structure and support, or a lack of structure and guidance during times of inequality and instability. Whereas um whereas oh my goodness oh whereas oh my gosh, I have a brain critical perspective that sees diversity as more of a progress. So um a strength that this may have is that it definitely tackles inequality head on. A weakness that this have um is that it may undervalue um, emotional and cultural importance of family. And a third view, the text does not talk about, but something that I have come to learn and become a part of um, the the pragmatic approach, where that is tailored more towards let the individuals live the way they want to. It's kind of like the liberal point of view, except this is more let them live the way they want to, instead of having to act a certain way. So this isn't really about ideology. It's, oh my goodness, I forgot the word, but it's more about um, yeah. Um, but a strength that this has, it is definitely a lot more flexible, and it definitely gets with the times. So as time changes, this view changes, and it tailors to people's needs. So it always focuses on the here and now. Like, what can we do to, how can we meet policy and empathy? How can we intertwine those together and make it more um, to meet people where they are? Um, but a negative impact or an issue that this may have is that this can lack stronger or um, moral, cultural a narrative. So people might not recognize this as a traditional or as a family because, again, let the individuals live the way they want to. It's basically just what works for you is what works best. But that was my video. Thank you for watching.